April was a month of extreme, and I read 10 books, and I either give them 4 or 5 star or 2. So I have some very strong opinions to share. I started the month with the highest rated books that I had on my physical TBR, and I was worried because in March I did the opposite, the lowest rated ones, and it went surprisingly well. So I was worried the opposite was going to happen with this one. If I didn't agree with the lowest one, maybe I also wouldn't agree with the highest ones, especially this one, The Nightingale by Kristen Anna. It is so beloved. Over 2 million ratings on Goodreads, an average of like 4.65 or something. Super well loved, and I am over World War II stories. I had vowed I was going to never read another one, but this was already on my shelf, so I might as well. And I will say, it's just that in general, I feel like I read a couple ones that were kind of not great and a few that were like straight up bad. And it felt like authors were going to use these events that are obviously going to be sad to compensate for their lack of skills. Kind of harsh, but kind of, right? So I was going to still try this one. I had it and it's so beloved. And I will say, I agree. I get it. I get it. In the comments, a lot of you told me that you didn't like it because the author laid it on too thickly, which I agree. I felt it. And honestly, I can't disagree with you. She did. With that said, I still cried twice. And not just like a little tear. I cried. And in the vlog, you can see me. I was mad. And I worried my cat. Okay, Charlie was on my lap for the whole last couple of pages, like 50 pages, and he followed me around for the rest of the day. Okay, you worried my cat. And I will say that even if I agree that everything horrible that could have happened in the book to the characters, it still worked. So like I can't really complain. So for me, it is also a 5 star. I can see the weaknesses, but I was invested, which is basically what I resented about all the other ones that I had read. I just, like, when you're not emotionally invested, I feel like a monster. Like, of course, horrible things are happening. It's World War II, but like, I don't care. So I feel like I'm the problem here, but I wasn't, because this one made me cry. You follow these two sisters and seeing how they survive and how they decide to try and help through World War II. And I will say there's a lot of French in here, and my first language is French. And I will say in the vlog, I go into more details, especially with the names. I feel like the author could have done more research because it doesn't work. It just took me out of a story every time. But I still, again, I'm giving it 5 stars. So like, how bad can that be? So it worked. I cried, and I don't cry easily. Now, the second book that I picked up during this challenge was The Hunger of the Gods, which I was also worried because I had read book 1 a couple years ago and I liked it. I had given it 4 star, but I didn't feel like I was loving it as much as everyone else. And I thought the same thing was going to happen with this one. And frankly, yeah, kinda. I feel like the writing just doesn't flow for me, which this will change depending on the author, your style, whatever you also as a reader feel. So it's just a me thing. It's definitely a like high fantasy that has a lot of like languages. Let me just put on the screen, like, you know, when there's a list explaining the terms and how to pronounce things, it's obviously a thing. And these are all the characters, like 6 pages of characters. It's a lot, but it does include a chapter in the beginning that summarizes what happens in book 1, which I remembered most of it, but I definitely needed it for the characters because, once again, so many in here. I overall feel like these kind of fantasy feel a lot like, oh, they're preparing for a war that still has to happen in book 2. So there's a lot of walking, a lot of traveling, a lot of planning, but a few battles, but like overall just a lot of walking. And I feel like when I notice it too much, I feel like I'm not emotionally invested. I do appreciate that he does have multiple complex female characters, which the fact that I feel the need to say it, probably not a great sign about fantasy in general. Also, I couldn't stop noticing a word he created used in his world. I don't remember seeing it in book 1, but again, it's been a couple of years. Instead of saying mind, his characters will say thought cage. And like, at first it was funny, but then I counted, and in 600 pages, he says it like 36 times, which is not that many per page, but I still could not stop counting, especially because it would be like 50 pages of not using it and then using it like 5 times in 2 pages. Either way, clearly, when you're not focusing on what happens and you start noticing these things, it's not a great sign, but I'm still giving it 4 star because I got to the end and that freaking last sentence, Listen, I came to the end and I was fully prepared to say that I was not in a rush to continue. Like, if I find it when I'm used book shopping, sure, I'll pick it up. But that's it, because again, not that emotionally invested. And then the last sentence happened. Cliffhangers should be illegal. I know it's not true, but like, I now need to check. Overall, this whole series seems to be a big battle between humanity, the tiny, tiny humans, and these dead gods, or are they? And the magic system is interesting, but yeah, it's just too much traveling, preparing for a war that has yet to happen. So yeah, I don't know. I'm giving it 4 stars. I feel like my review sounds harsher than I really feel, but it gets to a point where I want you to get to the point. Now, I was excited to try this author because I have a couple of his books on my shelf, and sometimes I make that mistake. I buy a couple before I start, and like, maybe I shouldn't have. Klara in the Sun. This author writes dystopian books, but I have mostly heard of him for his writing. Apparently his writing is so great, it's so beautiful, and maybe it's just this book. A few of you did mention that this was your least favorite book by him. Luckily, because again, I do have like 2 more on my shelves and I need to read them, because of course I'm going to give them a shot. But this was just a bit of a letdown. You're following Klara, who is an artificial friend. And throughout the novel, instead of saying artificial friend every time, he says AF, which not once did my brain think artificial friend at first when I saw that. I'm just gonna say it. It took me out of the story a little bit. But I understand what the author was trying to do, because Klara is chosen by this little girl who is sick, and she's going to be her friend, and you don't really know what's going on, how she got sick, and she's just observing the dynamics between the girl and her friend, best friend, maybe more, and her family. And she understands nothing that's going on because, again, she's a robot. She's very innocent. And I understand that the appeal of that was that she comes to these wild conclusions that, you know, why are you even thinking that? But like, she knows nothing, so that's what she thinks that can help Josie, her friend. And I had to suspend my disbelief multiple times, because why is anyone listening to Klara? She's a freaking robot. She has no idea what's going on, but people are so desperate for Josie to get better. And I really tried to look past the things I wasn't enjoying, and I got to the end and I just felt let down, because I know some stories people like stories where nothing happens. You hear that and you're like, this is for me. Maybe that's for you. But I just wasn't invested at all. Like, at first, yes, I really wanted to, you know, understand what the hype was about with this author, and it wasn't devoid of anything that I enjoyed in this book, but overall it was a letdown. So I'm giving it 2.5. I feel like 3 is too high, 2 feels harsh, but like, yeah, it's a 2.5. It was a letdown. Okay, next. I had a lot of fun with my Read It and Haul It challenge, which I feel like so far this year, they've been fun. And I managed to get through 3 books this time, which 2 were YA, so I feel like they were very, very readable. And the first one is the best one of the 3. This is Neverworld Wake, which for some reason in the vlog, I not once said it properly. But I only got this recommendation fairly recently, like maybe in the last 2 years. I don't know how I didn't know about this book, and I don't know why I didn't pick it up the second I got it, because this is just so up my alley. This came out, I want to say 2018. You follow a character who used to go to the school for like rich kids, and she had a group of friends and had a boyfriend, and he died in like kind of mysterious circumstances. It was ruled as a suicide, was covered up. Again, rich kids, right? So she never really got an answer. She moved back home, and then she tried to recover it again, small town with her family. And then a year later, it's the birthday of one of the group of friends, so she goes there to celebrate, and she is firmly decided she wants to figure out what happened to Jimmy, her boyfriend. On that night, they get into a car accident, which they don't realize. They just make it back home, and then this strange man comes up to them and tells them, actually, you're all dead, and only one of you can make it back to the real world. You are stuck in a time loop until you figure out which one of you is going to be the chosen one. And it's like an 11.2 hour loop, and obviously everyone freaks out. Nobody wants to vote for someone, so they kind of spend a lot of time in that time loop, and the main character decides to use that time to try and figure out what happened to her boyfriend and get some answers. So a lot happens from that point on. Don't want to say too much, but kind of sci-fi elements. I feel like it had been a long time since I didn't see every twist coming. Like, the book became a lot more than I expected in a good way. So overall, 4 star. Highly recommend if you like kind of strange sci-fi books. Very readable. Again, it was YA, so I flew through this, and amazing. honestly, I'm mad that I didn't pick it up in 2018. For me, this was like a huge hidden gem. Highly recommend this if that's your cup of tea. Actually, all three were sci-fi. I made a mistake of saying that I hadn't picked one up in forever from the jar, and it's probably the genre I have the most like physical copies of on my TBR, so it was shocking. And yeah, I picked 3. So the second one was this one. This is Everything You Ever Wanted. I picked this up because I had seen it being recommended as something that was a little bit like I Who Have Never Known Men, which I adore that book, so I wanted to try it. And I kind of see why they meant that for like maybe the last like 40 pages, but I was questioning everyone's sanity for the first like 200 because where is the similarity? This I would recommend to someone that likes depressed girl lit fic. That's going to be your jam. You follow my character who is very depressed, probably has been her whole life. She thinks she's a terrible person that deserves the worst, and she's stuck in a job that she hates. You know, she feels like it brings nothing to the world. When she learns about this planet Nyx, there's is it a wormhole? Yes, an underwater wormhole in the Pacific Ocean. And you can make, you know, one-way ticket to this other planet called Nyx. So she learns about it. She decides to try to go to the interviews, trying to get a chance to go there. Because of course, when you're depressed, the best solution is to take this one-way ticket to a different planet to become a colonizer, because that makes sense. So you're following what's happening throughout the interview process, and then you go to like 7 years later and see where she's at on that planet. And I feel like, again, I kind of had to suspend my disbelief a little bit, because I feel like, okay, maybe she wants that because, you know, escapism, when you're depressed, anything sounds better than staying stuck where you are. But I feel like if you are the person responsible for these interviews, you should know what kind of people you attract. Either way, I kind of hated the main character. I felt for her, but at the same time, she is just such a permanent decision for her situation. And yeah, I kind of liked, though, towards the end, what was a little bit more like I Who Have Never Known Men. But yes, this was not for me. I was not the right audience. But again, if you are someone that likes to follow characters that are very depressed and lost in life, and you're not necessarily focused on getting answers, and you just like the vibes, this might be for you. But yeah, for me, that's another 2.5 star. Luckily, right after, the jar decided to make me read The Grace Year, which, again, this is something I should have read as a teenager. I feel like I would have liked it even more. This is YA dystopian. So the main character lives in this isolated village that is very patriarchal, so women should be silent kind of thing. And if you're one of the lucky ones, you're married, otherwise you have to do like horrible jobs. But when they hit 16, that's when they become eligible to get married. So they are sent for the grace year in the woods behind this big fence, where they have to survive for a year and they have to let out their wild magic. So when they come back, they are ready to be submissive and get married if, again, they are lucky. So you go into it wanting to figure out, okay, what's going on in those woods? How do they let out that magic? Is that magic real? They also have to be careful because behind that big fence, there are poachers that are trying to get them, kidnap them, torture them, and then kill them. So of course, there's all that added layer to the story. And I wasn't fully sure how I felt for the first like half, but then the author managed to get me back towards the end. I feel like she made me nervous. Okay, sometimes you see an author and you're like, please do not go in that direction. And then so we're good. But yes, I feel like this is something that I would have liked even more as a teenager. Another kind of dystopian. And again, if you like the idea of like playing with, is it what's actually going to happen? What's going on? Is it true? Is it not? This is something you might want to pick up. So another 4-star for me. I did read and advanced reader copy of The Midnight Train by Matt Haig. It is coming out, I believe it's May 25th. And it is technically the second book after The Midnight Library. You technically don't really need it if you don't want to. I don't see why you wouldn't, but there's a character that is recurrent. So I would say you should read it anyway. In this one, you follow main character. He's, I believe, 81, and he's living his last few hours. And then when he passes away, he gets the chance to go on the midnight train, where he will get to relive the important moments in his life, the moments that made him him, and seeing who he truly is as a person. And the trick is that by the end, you get to go to the forever place where you will be with the people you care about forever. So he's told to not try to intervene. He's just there to observe these things. But of course, as someone that has regrets, that might feel like they made mistakes, especially in love, will he be able to keep it in or take a risk? So this is kind of the story. So you can see how it relates a little bit to book one. Again, there's another character that comes back at the end. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I think this is going to be another good book club book like book one was. So I would recommend it. If you enjoyed book one, you're going to enjoy this one too. So I gave it 4-star. I've been struggling so hard to listen to audiobooks, but I'm really proud because I did finish one. It was Poverty by America, which was probably 6 hours, but I did it. This is a nonfiction. It's very US-centric, but I still found it super interesting about how the poor kept poor. And frankly, I'm mad I listened to it as an audiobook instead of buying it because I feel like I would have put a million post-its in here. So if you were looking at it, I think this won the Goodreads Choice Award for nonfiction in 2023 when it came out. So it's definitely worth checking out. I actually have Evicted by him also on my waiting list at the library as an audiobook, so I might regret it again, but it's okay. As long as I'm listening to some audiobooks, I'll be happy. So yes, 5-star was great. Next, I decided to try Broken Country, which is another Reese Witherspoon book club, which I have a love-hate relationship with because I feel like every time I pick a book, because I see the sticker on there, I end up hating it. But then when I read a book and find out only after that it was part of the book club, I like it. So I don't know how to feel about this. I'm stuck in this vicious circle. But this was technically outside of my comfort zone. I think this might be considered historical fiction, romance, and I couldn't finish it. I listened to like 75% of it and then I gave up because I had issues. Listen, if you read a summary on here or online, you get like 75% of the story. It takes you like 1 minute to read that paragraph. It's the first 75% of the book. I had issues, and it says, does it say here too? Yep. Listen to this. A sweeping love story with the pace and twist of a thriller. Where? Whoever wrote this, jail. Because that is not true. I kept accelerating the audiobook, okay, because I really wanted to get to the end of this. I was over 2 times the speed, and I usually listen to it at like 1.5. I still could not finish this book. You're following this woman. It's like 2 timeline. In the now, she's married to Frank. They are from this small town, and he has loved her forever. They've been together for forever, and they have something tragic that has happened. You don't really know at first. It does say so in the summary, which like, don't read it. And you don't get all the details, but like still. So their happiness together, they're very happy, but as long as they don't think about something that has happened that is tragic and that is revealed in the summary. Then there is Gabrielle that makes it back to the small town, and he was her first love. So when they were teenagers, they have, you know, a summer romance and they separated. It was very difficult for her, but then Frank was there. So now that he's back, there's the, oh no, who do I truly love? Which you're like super confused because why? And then you read a summary and you have the twist, and then you hear about what happened in Frank and her's past that made the relationship harder to continue. Trying to be vague, which again, the book clearly didn't try to do. And it becomes a love triangle, which I kind of hate. I just really struggled to stay invested in characters after that. But long story short, all of this is happening because beginning and end, there's actually a trial happening because Frank's brother was murdered and you don't know what happened. So you know it's going to be which one of the 3 did it kind of thing, or like they're being, like Frank is being accused of killing his own brother, which makes no sense because they love each other. Like there's this whole thing that is happening but isn't present for, again, 70% of the book. And when I finally put it down, that's what was finally starting to happen. And I just had lost interest a long time ago. And I just, again, love triangles like this. Not a fan. So wasn't invested in characters. I did like the writing, so I feel like I kind of understand why some people would enjoy it. But the love triangle, I hated it. Like kind of hated the female character after a while. So I didn't rate this because I didn't finish it, but yeah, no. Last but definitely not least, I read this beast, Alchemized, which I wanted to see what the hype was about, and frankly, I hadn't read a book over 1,000 pages in 5 years. So I decided to vlog it. I thought it would be fun. I've been wanting to try romantasy, try to figure out my reading taste, and I was not prepared because I did not know it was a dark fantasy. And let me tell you, I was shocked. I vlogged it, and you can see me kind of losing my mind because I knew some of you read some weird shit. Okay, we're gonna be real right now. But I was still not prepared for it. So I feel like going into it blind was probably the best because I don't think I would have read past that section, but I was just so in shock that it continued. So you follow main character after the war ended, which I have been picking up more and more fantasy with that kind of plot, and I'm enjoying them so far. But specifically, this woman does not remember what happened. She was stuck in stasis for way too long, and she doesn't remember what happened in the war, even though she was part of, I mean, the rebellion. They were fighting the people that ended up winning, but she's probably now the sole survivor. They're trying to question her, but again, she remembers nothing, so she's kept captive. And there is a dark romance. I feel like I've been reading more and more books also using alchemy as the magic system. I enjoyed it. I did find it a little long because it is 1,000 pages, but I ended up liking it a lot more than I expected. So 4-star. I wouldn't consider myself a dark romantasy reader. Would love to also hear your best books of April. I will be putting more videos on the screen, including the vlog where I read the highest rated books, and then the one where I'm traumatized by Alchemized. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.